Today I'm coming at you from iconic Beverly Hills, and Lizzie is joining me for this walk. How could she miss?
Hi everyone.
Yeah.
Couldn't miss that.
She couldn't miss Beverly Hills. Had to come with for this one, right?
Right.
So gonna be walking down the iconic area here in Beverly Hills. I just had to do one of these videos. You know, I couldn't come to LA without doing a walk and talk down one of these streets. Today I'm going to talk to you about why you could be in big trouble right now if you're buying a home, guys. And this is not really meant to scare you. It's more just as a precautionary tale, because so many people are running into serious problems when it comes to buying homes. And this pertains to just how much your mortgage payment can actually go up due to outside factors besides your mortgage. Because a lot of people think, oh, I'm going to buy a house, I'm going to get the 30-year mortgage, and I'm going to have my locked-in interest rate. My payment's going to be the same for 30 years. But that is yet another lie of the housing market. Like I covered a couple days ago with you guys, one of the biggest lies out there right now is you can always refinance later. And one of the other big lies is that your mortgage payment will always remain the same. That's only partially true, because when you get a mortgage, your interest rate is locked, so your principal and interest payments are locked, but that's about it. Guess what? Your property taxes go up. Your homeowner's insurance goes up. Your local dues for your HOA go up. Whatever outside fees you have attached to your monthly mortgage payment that are not the principal and interest are almost guaranteed to go up over the life of your loan. And today I found a story about a former baseball player who actually bought a house in Florida. His name is Danny Collins. I don't know this guy at all. I don't follow baseball. I don't know anything about it. But this guy bought a house for only $400,000 in Florida. I don't know if you guys can hear this, but my friend the leaf blower followed us here to Beverly Hills because I hear him right around the corner.
They love you.
So this guy, Danny Collins, he lives in Hobie Sound, Florida, just about an hour and a half, 2 hours north of Miami. And it's a very laid-back area of Florida, way more nature, not much city going on. Pretty nice area, actually. And the guy bought a $400,000 house, and it's a 4-bed, 2-bath home, 1,700 square feet. And he bought the house for the same reason that I bought, because rent is going absolutely insane all over all of Florida. And he started out, his mortgage payment was only $2,000 a month. And that's not too bad for anybody, especially a former baseball player. I'm sure he can afford that. Here's the thing. Initially, when he bought the house, he was not in a flood zone. But FEMA redrew all their maps in 2022, and his house was placed into a flood zone. Okay, because that can happen every time FEMA redraws their floodplain maps. He says he was surprised because his house is a good 3 miles away from the ocean, which really doesn't matter, especially in Florida, because you are, pretty much at or slightly above sea level throughout most of the state. He ended up having his mortgage payment shoot up to $3,100 per month, guys. Now think about it. If you're paying $2,000 a month and then all of a sudden, surprise, it goes up to $3,100, were you expecting that, and can you afford it? That's always the kind of thing that I'm talking about here on the channel, because so many people who buy a house, especially first timers, have no idea that stuff like this can happen to them. The unfortunate thing is there's no way to plan for this. Like, you can't buy a house and say, yeah, well, maybe the expenses will go up to X, Y, or Z, because you just don't know. There's no way to predict something like this. And so basically how this ended up happening is Danny's lender, the bank, ended up getting flood insurance on their behalf without even telling them. When there was no heads up, no communication, no anything, the lender just one day decided, hey, the house is in a floodplain now, so we need to get flood insurance on the property, and they started tacking it onto his monthly mortgage payment. So at least he was smart enough to end up shopping around for different insurance companies. He was able to actually get the payment back down to $27.76 a month. So he was able to shave a good $325 a month off of the price that the bank was charging for the insurance that they got. And here's the thing, it's not just happening to him. Everybody in his neighborhood is experiencing this as well. And I guess some lenders are probably better than others, and maybe we'll have a better line of communication and giving people a heads up with this, so maybe you can find your own insurance. But that's not what happened to him. They just raised the price unexpectedly, guys. So the one thing I want you to ask yourself is, okay, can you afford the mortgage payment today? Sure, absolutely, no problem, right? I'm at a 35% debt to income ratio. That's what most people are at right now, if not even higher. And then if the mortgage payment were to go up $500, $1,000 a month unexpectedly due to higher property taxes, higher insurance, or now being put into a floodplain, ask yourself this: can you afford that increase? That's what I want people to understand, what they're facing right now. And unfortunately, I know for a fact that most people cannot handle this, because when you look at the median incomes and the median home prices, there's practically no margin for error right now when it comes to people's monthly budgets. So getting this $1,000 a month increase, even a $500 a month increase, is probably enough to put the nail in the coffin for most new home buyers. And you could now be in a situation where you're forced to sell that property, potentially even at a loss, because the market is down. So just ask yourself if this is something that you can handle. And I'm not telling people not to buy a house. I'm telling people that if you want to, ask yourself if you can handle these type of tribulations, because this is one thing you don't have to deal with as a renter. Yeah, sure, the landlord can come in and raise your rent by that much, but the thing is, you can move. There's options, right? There's always a plan B. But when you own the place, you can't just move that easily. You can't just abandon your property. You're not going to abandon the place you put $20,000, $30,000 into as a down payment. So you need to understand that your payment can change. And when you hear the lies from real estate agents and mortgage brokers that say, oh, don't worry, you're going to have a fixed payment. Oh, don't worry, you can refinance later. It's all a lie, and all they care about is getting the commission. Okay, once you're in the house, you're going to be the one responsible for these increases, not them. And you can also say, well, Michael, this is just a Florida problem and this isn't really going to happen anywhere else. But not so fast, guys, because a lot of areas have been getting hit with insurance increases, and even people dropping them as far as insurance coverage. You know, the most recent one I saw, Colorado's losing a lot of insurance companies, as well as having their rates being raised because of all the wildfire problems they have there. Same thing in New Orleans now, due to flooding and hurricanes as well. So little by little, you're starting to see more and more places get these massive increases, or, you know, overnight increases in insurance rates that can cause these problems. And then if you get thrown into a FEMA map situation like this guy did, you can be in trouble with that. So be prepared for these increases, because chances are, if you're buying right now in such a volatile time in the economy, you're likely to get hit with some sort of unexpected increase, and if you can't handle it, it might spell disaster for you. Now, the next thing I wanted to go over with you guys is I saw a couple different housing market forecasts today that I just think are so laughable, and I have to go over this stuff with you guys, because when I see it, I need to let you know what some of these so-called experts are saying and let you know why I disagree with them, okay? The first one, according to Barry Habib, who is a 3-time winner of Zillow and Pulseonomics Crystal Ball Award, he predicts that real estate prices this year in the United States are going to go up by 6%, okay, year over year. Before I get into why I think that's funny, let's just look into the rest of the forecast. So here's his predictions. He says that home values in 2023 go up by 5.8% and between 3 and 7% annually, depending on the market, for the next 1 to 3 years. And his reason for saying that this is going to be the case is because inflation is slowing down and the Fed is likely to back off on their interest rate hike soon. Also, we're seeing people making more money, which helps increase affordability for people that are looking to buy homes. He also believes his prediction is going to be due to mortgage rates falling to around the 6% mark by the end of this year. And he also says there's no housing bubble, and we don't have to worry about anything in terms of home prices coming down unless there's some kind of catastrophic black swan event that forces the Fed to spike interest rates much higher than they are right now and forces inflation to go back up. Under only those circumstances, Mr. Habib thinks that home prices will go down. But other than that, it's up 6-7% every year from here on out, guys. Now, here's why this is not true. Because already the data that we have this year is already reflecting the fact that this is not true. The National Association of Realtors, as of their latest numbers in June, I believe, shows that the housing market is still down year over year, and this is during the busy home buying and selling season when prices should be up actually year over year, right? Because that's what happens pretty much every year, regardless of what's going on in the market. But this guy is saying that we're going to end the year at home values being 6% higher than they were the year before. In what world, in what reality, guys? Because here's the thing, from here on out, probably we're going to see home prices continue to go down for the rest of the year. The home selling season is over. It's already a few days away from August. We're done. You know, kids are going back to school in a couple weeks, and before you know it, we'll have different holidays coming up. People are going to start slowing down on the home buying significantly, even though it's already been extremely slow. And to think that we're going to end the year at 6% price hikes is delusional. And I feel very confident in saying that that's the case. Now, I don't have a crystal ball. Actually, I do have a crystal ball. I'll put in a little shot for you real quick. But here's a couple reasons why this is delusional. Because first of all, this guy is saying that everything's going to be fine so long as the government can keep the crazy magic show going, and you're going to be able to balance all these insane problems and not have any negative outcome from it whatsoever. That inflation's not going to be a problem, unemployment's not going to be a problem, and all these things are just going to resolve themselves naturally. We're not going to have a recession. Everything's going to just go back to normal. Forget about the $6 trillion that was printed. It's going to have no impact. Okay, that's what this guy is saying. So not me. I'm not saying that. That's what he's saying. And you know, there's still some people that are in denial that home prices are actually down year over year. In fact, I saw some dude in the comments a couple days ago saying that home prices are up. No, they're not. Go check the data, guys. Case-Shiller, it's down. Redfin, it's down. National Association of Realtors, it's down. Any data set you check, it is down year over year right now. So just like this guy in the comments that thought that home prices are actually up year over year right now, I think this is part of the problem, guys. Like, people see different headlines and stories on the news and TV, and automatically they think, oh, it's true. They don't bother to fact check it. They don't bother to go and check the data to see if in fact it actually is true. They just believe whatever they see as a headline on TV, and that's gospel. This is what's really happening without doing any due diligence on their own. And then they look like an idiot, right? They look like fools in the YouTube comments saying things that aren't true, essentially, right? Which is not my problem, it's their problem, but I have to bring this up. But my question to you is, if home prices are already down year over year at a time when they should definitely be up because we have just surpassed the peak of home buying season, what do you think is going to happen by the end of the year? Do you really think we're going to end 2023 on a 6% positive year over year note? You're kidding yourself. That is just the most delusional thing that I have seen in a while. And that's why I have to bring this up and practically laugh at it and make fun of it, because it's so delusional. But yet this guy is a Crystal Ball Award winner and Zillow economist, okay? Just funny. So apparently they're not looking at the data. They're just looking at ways that they can make their companies look good. Because let's not forget, Zillow makes their money off of buying and selling homes, right? They sell real estate agents leads, and they do all sorts of things like that. They make their money off of transactions, guys. So if there's no transactions happening in the real estate market, it's bad news for companies like Zillow and Redfin. So they're practically forced to come out and make these funny stories that are just totally out of left field. And unfortunately, this guy from Zillow is not the only one that sounds like they're smoking crack right now. Unfortunately, Goldman Sachs is in the same boat, although not quite as delusional. because they have a home price prediction as well that this year in 2023, the Case-Shiller Home Price Index is going to close at 1.3% year over year. So higher than last year by the end of this year, guys, which is also, I believe, delusional. That anybody is saying right now that we're going to close 2023 higher than last year is just, I think, is just a fat joke, because I don't think we're going to. We're already down year over year. You have to think about that. It's the middle of the year, hot home buying season, and it's already down year over year. Real estate is seasonal, and every single fall and winter, home prices go down. This is just a seasonal trend that happens. In the spring and summer it goes up, and the fall and winter it goes down. So naturally, we're going to follow that cycle once again, and you're going to see home prices go down. And it's already down. So it's going to be down by even more by the end of the year, right? That's how math works. Yes, if it's down 3.3% and goes down another 3.3%, then we're down by 6.6%, right? The exact opposite of what this guy Habib is saying. But Goldman Sachs is saying that in 2024, we're going to see home prices go up by 1.7% and then by another 3.8% in 2025. And just to put that into perspective, the historical average of annual growth rate from the US home prices since 1976 has been 5.5%. But as you can see, the recent year's numbers have skewed that quite a bit, because in 2021, that number went up by 19%. So this huge run-up that we saw in the housing market can easily affect the average, and that 5.5% is probably higher than the historical norm. So while Goldman Sachs is not being quite as delusional as this other guy, they're still being delusional in the sense that they believe home prices are going to continue to go up or remain flat/sideways throughout this year and next year and 2025. And if they're correct, basically by the end of 2026, we'll see home prices only up 4.5% from where they're at today. And even if that ends up coming true, guys, because no one really knows the future, but let's just have a laugh for a moment and say that that's how things end up, and we end up at 4.5% higher in 2026, well, that means that anybody who's looking to buy right now shouldn't be in a massive hurry, because there's not much to hurry for. But funny enough, I don't think Goldman Sachs is all wrong, because I actually agree with them on their mortgage rate predictions, because they're predicting that the 10-year Treasury yield will average 3.75% between 2024 and 2026. And if that is true, then mortgage rates are likely to remain around the 6% mark all the way until the end of 2026, guys. And I believe that to be true. And this is another major reason why I don't think you're going to see, huge movement in terms of 6% increases in the housing market, 7% the following year, and all that. That's basically impossible to happen right now, with interest rates staying in the 6 to 7% range for the next 2.5 years, or foreseeable future, really. Here's the other thing it says in here: because home prices have already gone up 2.3% since April of 2023, year over year, that home prices would actually need to fall by the end of the year for Goldman Sachs' prediction to become correct. But first of all, it doesn't say where they're getting this data from, but I'm assuming it's the Case-Shiller Home Price Index, and they're grabbing data from April, guys. Well, things have changed a lot since April, because, it's already almost August. So taking data from April and saying that's the most recent housing data is already super outdated, because according to the Case-Shiller, home prices nationally rose 0.7% month over month as of June, and that's a seasonally adjusted number. But the thing is, home prices nationally are still down 0.5% compared with May of 2022. So this is as of May data. And the prices are also at 1% below the June 2022 peak. So I know a lot of people can say, well, Michael, that being down 1% year over year is practically nothing. That's like the home prices being flat. But don't forget that last year we saw home prices go down by roughly 12% just from June 2022 through January of 2023. And if the same thing happens again this year, we're going to see some significant price declines over the next 6 to 8 months. So I just don't see how all these economists and all these big banks are predicting that we are going to end the year on a positive note when it comes to home prices being up year over year. I think they're all just in fantasy land right now, and really, I think there's no merit to it whatsoever, guys. But really, the only part of Goldman Sachs' prediction that I agree with is mortgage interest rates remaining high through 2026. I think that will be the case, but here's where their prediction starts to fall apart again. They also predict that unemployment will remain below 4% through 2026. This part of their forecast shows just how much these big banks and economists are not listening to anything the Fed is saying. They're not watching anything that's actually happening, because the Fed themselves has said that by this time next year, July of 2024, that we are likely to see unemployment around 4.5%. Right now it's at what, 3.6%? So that's raising unemployment an entire 1 percentage point, and that's only in 2024. But the interest rate hikes have a delayed effect. So we're likely to see that unemployment number go up from here, right? After it gets to 4.5%, there's a good chance it might go to 5, to 5.5, to 6, right? But they're saying that they think it's only going to be below 4% by the end of 2026. Where are they getting this from? That's what I want to know. And I'm telling you guys about this because, you know, I call it like I see it. I see these crazy predictions, and I know some of you are going to mention stuff like this in the comments when I make these videos. So I need to beat you to the punch and put things into perspective and reality here and show you that this is just not really possible. There's really no scenario in how these predictions can come true by the end of this year. But these are the things that we're being told right now by the big banks, by the economists, and if you believe it, then you're likely to be the one to get burned if you're out there shopping for a home. And like I explained to you guys earlier in the first part of this video, there are so many unknown factors right now in terms of how much you can get hit with an increase in terms of your mortgage payment and unexpected expenses. We covered that a couple days ago as well, that things people are not prepared for when it comes to owning a house. And then you're going to listen to these clowns telling you that home prices are going to continue to end the year on a higher price point than they're at right now, even though they're in fact down year over year at peak selling season. You need to ask yourself, does that actually make any sense, or am I just being fed, you know, spoonfuls of lies here? Because that's what I think is going on. What do you think, babe? Do you think I'm right? Some people ask me if you believe me or not.
Oh yeah, I answer them, and I say I believe you.
You believe me?
Yeah, I think you're right.
Okay.
Yeah. You have a lot of common sense, so.
Hear that? I have a lot of common sense.
Yes. He's a practical guy. He has a lot of common sense.
There you go. Nothing else to hear.
And he wears sunscreen, by the way. So I'm taking
Yeah, I'm wearing
care of
sunscreen.
his skin.
It's pretty hot out here for Beverly Hills today, believe it or not. It's like 90 degrees, but coming from Florida, guys, it still is not as hot.
Beautiful.
I'm not drenched in sweat, you know, like I would be if I was walking in Miami right now. And it's much nicer by the beach, but I'm not complaining. I'm only here for the day. So if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you subscribe to the channel. And if you don't want to wait for my next one to come out, check out this one on the screen right over here, and I'll see you in the next one.